Greetings, Ducklings! In this video I will rate Trajan, Tokugawa, Neder Shah and Suleiman the Magnificent power projection in Sid Meier's Civilization 6. Each leader will be rated in 10 categories: leader bonus, chief bonus, unique unit, unique building, bonus synergy, stat dependence, gameplay, survivability, peak power, and win condition. We start with the good old Optimus principles, so you can compare it with the Julius Caesar. Before we start, I have to warn you this rating based on a multiplayer game experience where better balanced game and better balanced start modes are used. With just a couple of changes here and there, they finally bring the balance to the force of civilizations. I highly recommend you to try these modes if you haven't. So we start with the leader bonus Trajan's column. All founded cities get free monument building after unlocking Code of Lost City. This is one of, if not the strongest, bonus in the game. In the original game it's even better. You get monument right after you found a capital, but here you have to wait till about turn 8. First of all, it gives you 30 production for each of your cities. That's a quite good bonus, I'd say. Second, you have insane cultural tempo. You can discover early empire before turn 20. This of course turns out in even bigger game tempo, so you have more cities, you have more of everything and snowballing really fun. As you know, Roman Optimus Princeps Trajan is my favorite civ in the game, so I can't give it less than 10 apples. The next bonuses is the same as for Julius Caesar. Civ bonus. All roads leads to Rome. All cities you found or conquer start with a trading post. If in trade road range of your capital, it's also start with a road to it. Your trade roads earn extra gold for passing through trading posts in your own cities. This means that you can not only generate extra gold from your trade routes, external or internal, but it connects your early game wide empire with the net of roads. First of all, it helps to move units to your far city, and second, you can settle farther and faster using that roads. This amazing utility bonus that helps you snowball faster unfortunately doesn't give you anything much. That is why I rated it with only 5 apples. Legion, Roman unique classical era melee unit that replaced the swordsman, has extra charge to build a Roman fort or chop a wood. To be honest, this is the strongest classical era unit, but unfortunately it's too slow for online speed. You barely can harm anyone with Legion attack because it's too late. That is why, in my opinion, it's a super strong defensive unit which helps you to settle anywhere you want and no one could do anything about it. Because of its low maneuverability, I'm giving it 8 apples. Unique building for Rome is Bath. It replaces an aqueduct district and cheaper to build. It also provides you with an extra amenity and 2 housing. Because of this super cheap district, Rome can found non-fresh aqueductable cities. This will help to grow your empire there where other thieves wouldn't dare, and stacks well with the idea of a wide empire. But we shouldn't forget that it's still an aqueduct, that is why I rated it with a 6 apples only. In conclusion, we discussed the bonus synergy. The idea of Rome is to build a massive early game empire, and all its bonuses sharpen it to do so. Free monument gives you incredible tempo. You can open with a 5 or even 7 cities before turn 35 or even faster. Trade routes helps you to defend your wide empire and to build even more cities with a better timings. Legionnaires, of course, boost your city defense to the highest possible level. No one, I repeat, no one can beat Rome early game. And of course, Bath will help you with amenities and will grow your cities to a 10 or even 13 pops. With all these bonuses, you can safely build wide and tall empire at the same time. That is why I rated its synergy with a 10 apples. And now the tricky part, star dependence. Rome as a thief can play anything it wants. You can go naval, you can go land empire, it doesn't really care. It is common for Rome to have below an average starting spot, but with a PPG this problem is nearly visible. And even with that, Super strong early game bonus with a free 30 production for each city gives him incredible tempo. Once again, I'm repeating myself again and again, but I'm sorry guys, it's just incredible. Free 30 production with each city. None of the thieves have this. That's mean even with a bad start, you will open with a builder for each of your cities, except maybe a capital. And improving your below average start, you get more than average thief can have on their starting position. So it doesn't really matter for you, do you have below or above average starting position. And that's of course 10 apples out of 10 ability of Rome. Talking about gameplay, it's super fun and super easy. You can check my video how to play Rome to understand how it's easy to play this thief. You have awesome Magnus internals, early gameplay, you can switch to externals if you need to. If you don't, you just can stay with Magnus internals for entire game, it doesn't really care much. For Rome, I guess it's the easiest first and second and even third one golden age you can ever have. In most scenarios, you'll have government before turn 31. And of course, Legion and Bath will grant you 4 era scores each. Fast Feathers will help you to reach knights if you need them. And Bath, that you definitely should build in every single city, will boost your industrial zone. With that extra production you save in the early and the mid game, and of course with extra production you generate with your industrial zones, you can build anything in your city, even a brand new ones. So it's only up to you what wonder you want to build or what you will skip. You can really feel the power playing Rome, that is why I rated gameplay with this thief as 10 out of 10. As you might guess, Rome doesn't have any problems with survivability early game. But unfortunately, legions can protect you in a late game. You can of course defend yourself with the legions and crossbowmen against Night Rush, but that is basically it. After, you have to build some good quality units. And the biggest problem with that is you want to build more wonders, you want to settle more cities. You might be carried on with that desire, so you basically forgot about the units. And yes, Rome doesn't have any global military bonuses. So you have to rely on your development, on your game progress. So if you had a good early game, you have nothing to worry about. But if your opponents had a good early game as well, you have something to worry about. But still, survivability of Rome is on a very high level. It's really hard to deal with it, and that is why I give it 6 apples. Next is a peak power. This one is tricky category, and I have to remind you that it is about how can thief can turn table during the game. So how strong this thief in a specific timing? Rome of course is one of the strongest early game thieves. But it barely can change anything because there is nothing to change that early. You don't know who is in a good spot, who is in a bad spot, who should you attack or with whom you should be allied. The best thing you can do with your legion is take a city-state, I guess. And even if you show that Carthage must be destroyed, you barely can do this because legions are slow. On an online speed, you can have 2, maybe 3 legions in a reasonable timings and fortified defense bonus for even the horsemen can stop you. The siege might take so long that you'll have to take a catapults with you. Considering all above, I gave you Rome only 4 apples. I remind you that I gave Julius Caesar 5 peak power because you can spam more legionnaires with more gold. And once again, I gave Rome 4 apples for this topic, not because it's weak, but because there is nothing much you can change at this point of the game with legions. And the last one is a win conditions. As a Rome, you can of course do whatever you want, and most likely you'll go for a scientific victory because of your extremely good production. But in general, it doesn't have any bonuses for a specific type of victory. And with that industrial zone spam, you're gonna have way more less Diplo favor because of that CO2 emission. So your win condition relying only on your early game, and you don't have any specific bonuses for that. That is why I rated it only with a 6 apples, which in total grants Rome a 75 apples, which is an amazing result, I have to admit. Let's cheer for Trajan and move on. Tokugawa is a new Japanese leader and he's strong as hell. His unique civ ability Bakuhan. International trade routes receive minus 25% yields and tourism, but domestic trade routes provides extra culture and science and extra 2 gold for every specific district at the destination. Cities within 6 tiles of Japan capital are 100% loyal and, after researching flight, receive 1 tourism for every district. That is truly amazing bonus and gives you a lot of early culture and science, especially with the Magnus internal strategy. I was playing Japan, you can check it, and I assure you, non-civ can have as many stats as Japan early. Your destination city in most cases is your capital city, which is your best city in most of situations with the biggest amount of districts. You'll have 2 districts in your capital even before turn 30. These extra stats will help you to snowball even further and you will never ever will even try to have an external trade routes. Because of its incredible snowball impact, which smoothly fit into current Magnus Internals meta, I rate Bakuhan with a 10 apples. Japan had one of the best civ bonus in the game, and it's still there. Major restoration. All districts receive an additional standard adjacency bonus for paying adjacent to another district. Commercial hubs do not receive bonuses from adjacent rivers. Yes, it was slightly nerfed with a BBG mod, so you don't have extra 2 gold adjacency bonus for your commercial hubs, but it's still amazing bonus and I can trade it less than a 10 apples. As in Japan, you can just feed all districts next to each other and you'll have amazing adjacency bonuses. It doesn't really matter which district it is, you just place it there and you're done. Your stats are skyrocketing to the sky. It doesn't even matter which district it is. And the samurai, unique unit for Japan, one of the best in medieval era. This is a bit tricky and it has to be explained to those who haven't played BBG mod. First, man at arms is not in apprenticeship but in military tactics. Second, samurai is not in a military tactics, they are in feudalism. And what do you know? Feudalism is the best civic to boost your empire with the 5 charged builders. So if you are playing the best economic possible build order, you also receive a super strong unit that will protect you. And I assure you, with a Tokugawa, you'll get feudalism by 1038, maybe even faster. So no wonder Tokugawa get extra 10 apples for its unique unit. Finally, let's talk about something that is not absolutely imba but relatively close to be it. Electronics Factory, a building unique to Japan, provides 4 culture to a city after researching the electricity technology. Extra 4 culture for a factory. It is amazing bonus, but unfortunately, with the recent updates, it's not that great because you need electricity technology now, and because of BBG tried to delay ironclad timings, we have to now learn even more technologies, so it's extra for culture delayed for a long period. So when you just build it, it's just a factory and you don't get your bonus immediately. And it's a late game building, so you won't get that extra fall culture for your empire for a long time. So by the time you build factory and discover electricity, you'll have about 200 or maybe even 250 culture in a regular game. It's of course good to have extra 4 culture, but you don't get that many extra culture as Rome does, or any other civ with way earlier bonuses. So That is why I rated this building and this bonus with only 5 apples. And now, of course, we discuss how these all bonuses work together, and I assure you they work amazingly well. I just can't describe how Major Restoration works well with Bakuhan. You just keep spamming districts, get extra stats from adjacency bonuses, get extra stats from trade roads, early feudalism, spamming districts, protecting them with a samurai, so no one can do anything to you. You can defend almost against any attack, even against early game attack with the horses and upcoming samurais next. The biggest lunk here is Electronics Factory, that by itself is the best factory in the game. And there is nothing to add except I grant Tokugawa 10 apples out of 10 for its bonuses synergy. Now the sad part. Japan is a coastal civ, and unfortunately half of your tiles, maybe less, maybe more, will be in naval tiles. So you can't build nothing but harbors there and maybe some wonders. And that is only half of the tragedy, because Japan has awful stats. In a half of the games, it's a fucking flatlands. I'm sorry about that, but it is what it is. You have the shittiest spawn in the game. So you want to spawn districts, but half of your tiles is not lands, it's a sea. And you always want to have a conglomeration of a few cities, so different districts from different cities will just boost each other. And it adds up that you won't have any tiles to work on. And the worst part, that majority of your tiles, in most cases, is a fucking flat plans. It's the shittiest start ever. Japan has the shittiest start ever. I was talking about Rome, that Rome doesn't have a decent start, yes, but Japan is absolute mess. Of course, mod somehow will help you and give you some hills, give you some trees around, but it's still a swamp. So, unfortunately, without those amazing 10 apple bonuses, Japan got only 3 apples for its star dependence. You just can't build any districts if you don't have any hills. That is, of course, the saddest part of Japan gameplay. Talking about gameplay, it's amazing, it's really fun to play, it's really easy to play if you have at least few health and some good fish tiles. You shouldn't have any troubles with the first, second, or the third golden age. For the first one you can build +4 harbor. You will spam good adjacency bonuses districts, so you'll get some era score for that too. Your cities are tall, your lands are secured, and your soil is fertile. Just be a meta slave and you won't lose. Never ever. No, no, no. Or you can experiment with the different governments and you still can't mess your game up. Or you can go to war with the samurais, or with the Caribal Rush, with extremely good with Tokugawa. Or you can even wait till the very end of the game and achieve cultural science victory or anything you want. This is super fun civ to play, highly recommend you, and 10 apples granted without a doubt. Survivability. Once again, samurais, but not only. With the extra stats you have early, you can discover defensive techs faster. Unlike other coastal civs, you're more secured against horseman rush. I have talked a lot about mid game, so I bet you know about what to do there. And late game, as with the Rome, depends on how did you play it earlier. You don't have any military bonuses except samurai, so maybe, just maybe, less developed civ might push your heart with extremely good military bonuses. But in a general, with a battle culture and better production, you should be good. There is nothing much to talk about. Once again, samurais and 6 apples. Big power for Japan, as you might guess, is medieval era. You can of course seem better than anyone else and crush someone with the tanks, but your opponents can do the same. But with a samurai push, there is where Japan shine. So it's extremely good unit which might be discovered in a very good civic. Unlike men at arms, which I remind you, is in military tactics. So if you really want to, a triple barrack samurai push is quite a Japan thing, but I don't recommend you to do this because it is better to outsim your opponents. Unlike Rome, with the later timings, you can decide who is your true enemy. With a proper gunplay, you can push hardly, and even you won't succeed, you still spend less than your opponent. And yes, of course, with that powerful push, you can change the situation on the map. You most likely can't finish the job right away, but it still will benefit you in the long terms. That is why I rate Samurai Timing Push with the 6 apples. As I said, with the good summing bonuses, you of course can achieve any type of victory you want, or any type of victory you can. Even with that Bakuhan penalty, you can achieve cultural victory because it's actually not a penalty. In an FFA game, you still won't be able to trade with anyone because they most likely will declare war against you. Major restoration allows you to generate extremely amount production, science or culture, which opens for you a science victory as well, or even a domination victory, because you can just outspam anyone with units. Unfortunately, once again, deep law or religious victory is not working quite good with a multiplayer gameplay. But with a 4 versus 4 game, you can easily build Statue of Liberty, which grants you extra few Diplo victory points. Unlike Rome, with just a little bit of luck on your starting position, you can achieve much more. And of course, you don't have any specific victory bonuses, but in general, it doesn't really matter. You're still strong. That is why I granted 7 apples, which in total gives Tokugawa 77 point out of 100. This is so far their strongest leader, and I doubt that anyone can beat this score. And now let's talk about something that is not absolute imba. It is Neder Shah turn. Leader's bonus Sword of Persia. Plus 5 combat strength when attacking full health units. Cities not founded by Neder Shah receive plus 2 face and plus 3 called on domestic trade routes. Well, first of all, let's talk about trade routes. I don't know why, but I got that extra faith when I was playing him. I'm not sure, maybe the description is not complete or the ability itself bugged, but I got my pantheon with this. In general, this trade route bonus is quite useless if it only works in conquered cities. Once again, it worked for my cities as well, but maybe it's a bug. Compared to what Tokugawa has, this is a joke. And a military bonus plus 5 combat strength when attacking full health units? What the hell is even that? It's like they give you combat bonus, but they don't. Cyrus, for example, has extra 3 combat strength when attacking every single time, or Scythia has extra 5 bonus against damaged units, which is more reasonable. You still can't one-shot anyone with that, and most likely this will be your weakest attack even with a bonus. At the real game situation, you would shoot first and lower your opponent defense, and that is why you'll get more and more strength with each attack on it. But here, it is more like penalty for you. I am so disappointed with its combat part, and its trade route part makes me confused, and it's most likely I can't even use it. And yes, Persia is a trading chief, so why would you give it extra phase bonus? I don't know. I tried a few times to play it with the monumentality, I didn't like it. It was quite bad because I didn't have enough stats and AI attacked me. Maybe with the people it would be not that hard for you, but when you're playing monumentality you would rather build some theatrical squares than rushing commercial hubs. And of course, if you do so, you won't have any stats at all. So it looks like Norway, but it is actually not a Norway. So for now, I see this bonus as a joke, but maybe I'm wrong and community will find a way how to play this better than I did. So I grant this guy a 4 apple for a Sword of Persia, and I added 2 apples just in case I am wrong. Satrapies is way better bonus. It of course was reworked with a PBG mod, so behold, extra trade road capacity with a political philosophy. That's the old one. Receive 2 gold and 1 culture for roads between your own cities, additional 2 gold from banking and economic technologies, 2 culture from medieval fairs and urbanization civics. Roads built in your territory are 1 level more advanced than usual. Persia was quite popular civ, but now it's forgotten. Satrapies perfectly fits in Magnus' internals meta, but somehow it feels not that strong. It's way weaker than the Roman bonus, even though you can build your own monuments, your temp is still worse than a Roman. Extra trader is quite good and you probably can get it turn 31. That is the strongest part of this bonus, I have to admit. But eventually you'll still have to switch to externals. But game forces you to stay with internals, and with that you're losing more yields and stats. Good early game, thanks to satrapies checked, but that's basically it. I have some good memories playing Magnus internals with the satrapies bonus, so I granted 7 apples. Immortal was reworked a lot and now classified as a ranged unit, which means it won't receive support bonus because of BBG mod. Yes, ranged units don't get any support bonus with the BBG mod. And of course it was slightly buffed with a 35 melee strength, but it's not enough to show as good result as legions. So it's some sort of glass cannon with a good range damage, especially with an oligarchy and a first promotion. So it's basically early game crossbowman but with extra steps. But it suffers from the same problems as a legion. It's slow and you can't build a lot of it when you need it. I'm granting it with a 7 apples with a hope that they will rework it once again because of Neder Shah release. Unique building, Paradisa. This unique improvement unlocked in early Empire Civic. Grants 1 culture, 2 gold and 1 appeal to adjacent tiles. 1 culture for each adjacent holy site, campus and theatral square. 1 gold for each adjacent commercial hub, harbor, industrial zone and city center. Additional culture with a diplomatic service civic. Provides tourism after researching flight. Cannot be built on snow tiles, tundra tiles, or floodplains. Cannot be built next to another Paradisa. So what is my purpose? Asked Paradisa. You give me 4 era score, replied community. No one ever built more than 1 Paradisa. No one. The tiles is pretty shitty even with a 2 districts buff. For example, Holy Site, City Center and Commercial Hub, if you ever be able to put these 3 districts so it would buff for days, I will grant you 2 culture and 4 gold, in addition to 2 1 or 1 2 tiles. It actually looks great, but it is actually not. You might lose your adjacency bonus for those districts, and why would you boost your Paradisa if you're losing your adjacency bonuses? So in general, you get less, and you don't really want to work 2-1 tiles with whatever it is bonuses it has. I don't know, maybe with a Nurse Goddess and a long park gameplay style, you can do something with it. And I mentioned that because after the World Cup, you'll have a major update for a better balanced game mode, in which Lang only needs 3 turns to sit in a city. So maybe this park gameplay will back in the menu, but for now it's just a disaster improvement. You should never build it, or if you can figure out how to play with Paradisas around, I would be appreciated if you can share it, but I think it's a really, really bad improvement. That is why I granted only 3 apples. Thanks for the 4 euro score. And finally, bonus synergy. I believe you can agree that bad bonuses will have a bad synergy. So where to start? If Swords of Persia bugged and it gives you extra faith and gold even with your own cities, then it stacks well with satrapies. So you can say, yay, finally, let's play a Norway style. But I don't think that will happen because I have built more holy site than for the Norway. And this holy site don't boost your commercial hubs. So most likely you won't be able to get a discount for commercial hubs and had to build it with a full price, unlike with the Norway when you can build two discounted harbors, which gives you extra trade routes earlier. And you don't have any other bonuses than this two phase from a trade route for your religion, so it sucks. And if you have the first and the second districts like this, you won't have any stats. Yes, of course, you'll have some extra culture, but it's nothing compared to what the other two will have with a pen brush and voice bonus. And if you want to go monumentality and religion, you won't have that extra culture. So they force you to play religion, but they don't give you any tools to play religion, and that's quite sad. And if you are a meta slave playing Magnus Internals with a commercial hub rush, as people do play Persia, you don't need that extra true faith. You just like Spain but worth. Okay, you get a Pantheon with that, so wow, thanks a lot for extra 12 production or what? Rome has 30 production with each city, so basically this bonus gives you nothing. And it doesn't really stack with your Satrapus internals. You're just getting a bit more gold and that's it. It's not that massive boost as we've seen for a Rome or for Tokugawa. Talking about Satrapis, there is nothing to talk about, you just built one, and Immortals, they not help you with the simming, they're quite weak and you still have to build horses, and most players just building some horses because it's easier to do, so Immortals not even taking part in your development. So yes, because of that extra 3 gold and a free Pantheon, I'm forced to give this thief 4 apples to a bonus synergy, because there is some sort of synergy in there, I can agree with that, but it's nothing compared for what other thieves have. Okay, enough with that. I'm really disappointed with Neder Shah because I couldn't play it religiously, but in general it's still the same good old Persia. Let's discuss how good it is with the stats. So Persia always had a better stats than a Rome in my opinion. And if you are playing Magnus Internals, it doesn't really care much what stats you have, you'll still get your production mostly from trade routes. You can build your builders faster, you can improve your surroundings, so it's not that crucial for him to have a better start or worse start. It doesn't really matter for this type of gameplay. And that is why it's so popular. But unlike Rome, you don't have free monuments, so you still have to build stuff. And if you're starting naval, you can of course try to cosplay Norway with a holy sites and a nice extra face from trade route, but I don't think it will work. But anyway, it seems like Neder Shah is slightly worse in a naval fight than Cyrus. I remind you that Cyrus has +3 extra damage when it's attacking. So it's a Magnus internal oriented civ. I grant this guy a 7 apples out of 10. In most cases, you'll have okayest stats ever, but you still can't have that great tempo as other civs will have. The gameplay. It is of course fun to have a free Pantheon, but you can have it with way more different ways than just waste on it your leader bonus. In general, it's a classical Magnus internal civ which forced to play it forever, which I don't like. You can try to do something fun with your Peridaisas, but I wouldn't recommend that. And with any other slow units, you can't do much with your Immortals. In most cases, you'll just build one to get 4 error score. So, playing against AI, it's nice to have extra culture. You can boost your civics faster and get cores earlier, which might lead to a really fun accuracy war from your side. But it's quite boring entire game, you have nothing you'd like to spam and just playing as a regular civ without bonuses. So I give it 5 apples out of 10 possibles just because it's solid civ. And yes, because it's solid, it is hard to deal with him in a combat. No matter what, Neder Shah has good survivability. You can spam immortals instead of crossbowmen, so even with the bad signs you're still able to reach knights and of course with extra culture you get earlier feudalism. Later in the game, thanks to that culture, you'll get earlier cores and armies. So you're relatively saved against thieves without a real combat bonus unlike yours. So with all of the above, I rated him with a 6 apples. Big power! Early game thieves suffer from the same problem. You don't have time to use your units properly. Immortal's quite good attacking unit even with another Shah military bonus. You still can take a city-state or force your opponent to build extra units for their defense. But you barely can change anything in the game by the timings. Because, as I was saying earlier, you don't know who to attack, who is your enemy, who is your ally, what to do. You don't have enough information to put your spear in right direction. That is why I granted it only 4 apples for a big power. So, win condition, the last topic. And I don't know what to discuss here. It seems like Neder Shah doesn't have any specific bonuses for any type of victory. Yes, he does look better than a Catherine with his shadow for a culture victory, but that's basically it. Yes, you have some extra culture from internals and extra codes, but this not grant you any options of any kind of victory. You can rush some books to boost your culture victory, but you don't have any bonuses to do that. You can boost your production, but you don't have that crazy ass tempo that other civs have. So probably military victory or science victory will depend not on your actions but on what your opponent's doing in the game. No bonuses for triple victory, and of course no one will ever give you a chance to achieve religious victory. I hardly believe what I'm saying right now, but Nether Shah got only 3 apples for a win condition from me, which in total grants him 50 apples. Yay! This result might reflect my low opinion about this thief, so you can prove me wrong in the comments below. And last but not least, Suleiman the Magnificent. By the way, the Magnificent is his leader bonus. 50% science and culture when in Golden Age or Heroic Age, plus 4 combat strength when not in Golden Age or Heroic Age against civilizations who are also not in a Golden Age or Heroic Age. I don't know why do I have to make such a complicated military bonus, but let's discuss seeming bonus at first. 15% of science and culture, it's amazing, only for that I already granted him 10 apples, but let's discuss this extra 4 combat strength a bit. So, when you are not in a golden age, you might attack someone who is not in a golden age as well. So what the point of all of this? You first of all have no Janissary and Ibrahim, so how can you do any sort of aggression in this specific timings? And of course you will do anything possible to not skip your golden age because you will lose 15% of science and culture. In what universe would you change your 15% sim bonus for an extra 4 combat strength against someone who is not a golden age? So if you're targeting someone specifically and he's ahead of you, he will probably be in a golden age or in a dark age. So if it's in a first, second or third dark age, usually it's third dark age, they will have a Twilight Veiler policy card. Same as you. So you won't have +9, you just will have +4. And that is basically the same bonus that happens when you're trying to stop someone and attack them in a Dark Age Renaissance era with a +5 Twilight Veiler policy card. And here you will have even worse, because you'll have only 4. And on top of that, you are losing 15% simming bonus. So Basically, you don't have any combat bonus, but you have amazing simming bonus, and that's it. Now let's discuss Civ bonus. It's basically useless without Janissary. 50% production towards siege units. Well, better balanced game mode have the policy card for that, unlike vanilla Civ. So it's 200% production instead of 150% production. It's quite good bonus, but it's not as good as in vanilla. All siege unit gain plus 5 combat strength against district's defenses. That's great, but you have to reach that city first. Conquered cities do not lose population, yay. Cities not founded by the Ottoman gain plus 1 amenity and 4 loyalty per turn. Great. But as I was saying, you don't have Janissary. You can't reach the city, and you don't need that extra 50% production bonus because you already have a policy card. So the only good thing is extra amenity, but if you are able to push someone, that means that you are outsimmed this guy, you have better army, better units, and your opponent is basically doomed. Or your opponent outsimmed you, and no matter what you do, extra 50% production towards each units won't help you at all. That is why I rated this bonus only with the 4 apples. Unique unit, Barbaric Corsair. Ottoman unique medieval era naval unit that replaced the privateer. Can enter ocean tiles regardless of researched technologies. It costs no movement to coastal raid. Can only be seen by other naval raiders unless adjacent to it. Reveals naval raiders within sight range. This unit does the same thing as Parida Asa. It gives you extra 4 era score. In most games, people are just building few Corsairs just to inform you that they pillaged your tiles with a Corsair and they are not that useless. Even though they are earlier in a civic tree, you still need a policy card to build them, which is in exploration, and you can guess what else is in exploration. Yes, it's privateers. So you can't even have them earlier, and as I remember, they are weaker than privateers because they are earlier game units. Lol. So they are earlier but actually not, and they are weaker than privateers. And building them in a huge masses means that you're just going to lose your production. That's it. It is the first time I rated unit with a 1 apple, and I have no doubt in it. It's a 1 apple for Barbary Corsair. Unique building for Suleiman is Grand Bazaar, and it's quite cool. Check this out. Accumulate 1 extra strategic resource for every different type of strategic resources this city has improved. Receive extra amenity for every luxury resource this city has improved. Grants governor title when first constructed. Increase trade road capacity, plus 2 gold for each trade roads from this city, plus 1 gold for each trade roads to this city. The gold feature is applies to all banks in BBG. I have nothing to say about this building, it's just amazing. Amenities, good. Governor titles, good. Extra trade road capacity, good. You can double your trade road capacity with a banking technology, and of course this Grand Bazaar. I have to admit Suleiman is quite popular in 4v4s where he can produce enormous amount of gold and of course will get extra stats and yields with external trade roads. It is not that good with an AI because they don't know how to play and have no districts at all, but in multiplayer you can feel its full glory. I believe you agree with me, this building worth often apples. It's quite hard to measure bonus synergy, especially when 2 of your bonuses is absolute trash. What can I say, the Magnificent is stacking well with Grand Bazaar, extremely good I'd say. With that extra 15% science you'll reach banking faster, and with extra culture you will open needed policy cards to boost your externals. Grand Bazaar is absolutely opposite of a Burberry Corsair because it's harbor dependent and commercial hub dependent bonuses. And you don't really want to build harbors at all when you're playing Suleiman. You want to have all those buzzers as soon as possible and as many as possible. And without harbors, you will avoid coastline, so you can't even use cursor in most of the games. Great Turkish bombard make no sense without Janissary and Ibrahim. It still can be used well with a 2 arms golden age dedication. And of course, you can spam more artillery late game, but that's basically it. So yes, I can say it's somehow stuck with extremely good simming bonuses and with an end game unit. So I hope you agree with me that it's worth of a 6 apple. And now the hardest part. Let's discuss a start dependence of the Suleiman. In general, you'll have a quite good start with a lot of hails, bananas, and some other plantations. Well, that is what I usually get when playing Suleiman. But because of Barbaric Corsair, you might find yourself on a coastline, and you definitely don't want to play a coastline empire. As at Civ, without early game bonuses, you have to invest hardly with a golden age point, and you have to be lucky enough to reach first golden age. And it mostly depends on your start. Will you find wonder? Will you have good terrain to search some huts? Will you find second continent to boost trading or not? And most importantly, will you have friends around you or enemies? Because you'd like to have external straight road to earn some coins. With all this above, even with the above average starts, I grant Suleiman only 4 apples. Gameplay is fucking stressful. So, as I was mentioned earlier, it is hard to reach first golden age for Suleiman. Before turn 30, you are safe without bonuses. You are just regular, everyday, normal Sultan. You have to find wonders, you have to find huts, usually you have to buy third scout, which is quite expensive. And even if you succeed with that and you get first golden age, it is still hard to play before you reach banking. And even after you build grand buzzers, you're completely dependent on your neighbors. Will they trade with you? And if not, you're fucked. Suleiman quite popular in 4v4 games, but even there you have to live next to your allies so you can trade, and it is better to trade by water. And your ally have to sim well, so you would get extra stats from districts in his cities. And he have to trade with you in return, so you'd have more stats with Bizzle banking. And only when it's all perfect, you'll get an amazing game with a 1k plus GPT and amazing science and culture. But if something goes wrong, you're doomed. That is why I rated gameplay with a Suleiman only with a 3 apples, because it's quite stressful and hard and sometimes boring. Survivability here. Having no unique units highly increase your chances to be eliminated. As I was saying, you're super vulnerable till you get your grand buzzers. So if someone wants to attack you in the first half of the game, you're probably going to die, or you're going to suffer a lot and will be irrelevant in a further game. You don't even have a comeback mechanism where you can erase yourself and spam shit tons of Janissary. And even after you reach Grand Bazaars, you're still vulnerable because your traders can be pillaged, your neighbor can die, anything can happen with you. And you still don't have good combat bonus to defend yourself. You can attack, but you can't defend. So the only thing you have here is a 50% science and culture, but I'm not really sure it helps you survive in a fight against Warmonger Civ. With a pain in my heart, I grant Suleiman only 3 apples in a survivability topic. Hey, peak power! In terms of peak power, Suleiman has none. You don't have Janissary, you don't have early game, you don't have mid game, all you have is a late game without any combat bonuses. What can you expect from this Civ? And I tell you what, the fascism tank push. So with the gold you earn, you can pre-build a lot of units and upgrade them and make a nice timing attack. With an extra science and culture, you can even reach fascism earlier. But having so many externals will force you to switch to democracy. And of course, there is a lot better thieves to fight late game than Suleiman. So I grant him 4 apples, maybe a bit less than you expected, maybe it even less than I expected, but I just can't give him more. It is hard to detect specific win condition that Suleiman can succeed. He is too dependent on surroundings and on your diplomatic skills. Or on your allies if it's 4v4. 50% science of course help you with achieving scientific victory, and 50% culture is helping you with a cultural victory. But as we know, science and cultural victory is not about a science and culture, it's about production and tourism. Grand Bazaar can of course help with both of these type of victories, but if your trading partners decide to stop you, well, you won't have any externals, and you will have a permanent war. And without any military bonuses, it will be hard for you to win it. So I think it will be fair to give 5 apples for a win condition to a Suleiman the Magnificent, which in total brings him 50 apples on a table. So he has the same amount of apples as Neder Shah, but I think he is quite a bit stronger than Neder Shah. Maybe you can give him few apples here and there, maybe some bonuses you like more than me, but I think 50 apples is quite a fair number of points for him. Thanks a lot for watching, hope you enjoyed this video. It's a bit longer than it should be, but I believe it's only because I try to explain my grades more detailed. I once again ask you for likes and comment support. If you can, please share this video and subscribe as a sacrifice to a YouTube algorithm. Have a nice day.